Let's get nuts.
Alright, really shut up.
So 2 becomes 3 today for this whole episode, but I suppose you were starting off there talking about the mantras.
Mudras. Mudras. These, so when I meditate I use mudras. These are basically hand mudras, and as you say, like it's the most electrical part of the body. The fingers and whatnot are the most electrical part of the body, so it makes sense that they would be connected to the electrical system and back into the brain in some other way. And basically, like a light switch, the way the wiring goes around your house and you can press the switch to turn it off. So basically, I'm turning on the switch when I make a mudra. When I make a certain mudra, it will activate that part of the brain that you don't normally use. Like, we normally use about 20% of our brain. So when you're using mudras, basically, if you're sitting in meditation and you're using these mudras, you're basically activating a different hemisphere of the brain. You can activate the frontal lobe if you just want to activate the frontal lobe, or the side lobes of the back. It's different. Every mudra holds something different, and it's for a different reason, like heightened intuition. There's one here that I know people can't see this now when you're doing it, but that's for the third eye. You hold that mudra.
Yeah, triangle gesture.
And it's all got to do with raising the chakras. And to me, that's what the world is in turmoil, and it's in turmoil for a reason, because it's basically, as is known, if you get to the really, really deep scholars, they think this is actually not our earth at all. It's actually run, the Lord and Commander that owns this, the Lord of Light, who is said to be Lucifer. And they believe that this is his earth. But the way to rise above all that is to go through your chakra system. And there's 7 chakras in the body that run up along the spinal column. And they'll start at the base with the root chakra, then they'll come up into the solar plexus. Then, the root chakra, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus, and then up into the heart chakra, and after that is the throat chakra, then into the third eye, and one at the very top here at the crown is the crown chakra. The story of Jesus Christ, crown, that's the word crown,
Yeah.
This is what it's all about. It's about the chakra system, it's about your internal energy. So what happens, in the chakra system, right, so you reach your pineal gland. It's frequencies can set these up. Frequencies can activate them in a way, and holding mudras obviously helps it. But as I say, holding mudras basically helps you to activate parts of the brain that you don't normally activate, and helps you to think more, think outside the box. And it's a way of turning off what they have found inside in our DNA to be the worship gene. There is a worship gene inside in our DNA, and you can switch that off basically by, you'll start to see through the bullshit, the lies of the government and various different actors. We have to be careful what we say, because we can get arrested for this stuff now. You know yourselves. Yeah.
But that's linked in with you were on about there, that worshipping gene. I think I've heard that being mentioned before with Annunaki.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the Annunaki. The stuff I've seen on the Annunaki, I've been following it now for a long time.
Yeah.
And they believe that they go back 450,000 years, estimated, that when they were here. Humans weren't here till then, So basically, they found this planet. It's believed, right? As I've listened to all these guys, there's Zachariah Sitchin is one of them. Billy Carlson is another guy that's actually decoded, and their stories are quite similar. He's actually learned how to write this. If you get a chance to watch some of his stuff, it's too long to go into detail. But Billy Carlson.
Oh, he's deadly interesting. We mentioned him there in one of the episodes.
Yeah, and how he actually came about. What's that guy? You were telling me that guy's name. Guy with the tash. He's a comedian as well. He did an interview with Billy Carlson.
Oh, trying to think now.
Yeah, no, I've lost his name. I was following him there as well. I was watching some of his stuff. You know him as a comedian?
American comedian, is he?
Yeah, the guy with the kind of tash, the black tash. You'll know him if you see him straight away.
I can't remember now.
But anyway, he did an interview with him, and it was basically about, he got really, really upset inside the interview, explaining the whole thing, because his wife actually left him because of this.
Yes.
Did you see that interview?
Yeah.
He had a really emotional...
Yeah, I saw some of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Was he saying... Okay, is this the guy who was saying that he saw an alien in his living room?
This is it, that's the very interview, yeah.
And he tried to explain to his family this is what happened, and they just weren't having it.
They couldn't see a thing.
Was that the catalyst to the end of his marriage, or...?
Yeah. They couldn't see a thing, he said, and he was actually crying his way down. you could physically see that this wasn't made up. You couldn't have acted it because his emotions, if you learn to read people's emotions, this was not something you could fake. If you tried to do it as an actor, you wouldn't get it as good as this. Like, you know. He was actually trembling because he thought he was caught off guard. He didn't really want to talk about it. You know, he wasn't expecting that question to be thrown at him.
Andrew Schultz.
Andrew Schultz. That's him. Yeah, that's the interview. Yeah, really good interview. If you get to watch that, like, I'd recommend to watch that. Like, but the Anunnaki. So they go back like 450,000 years, I reckon, and like basically the story goes that they were space refugees from a war that happened in a far distant galaxy, long time ago. What does that sound like? Like
Star Wars.
Any movie you've seen, Star Wars.
That's it.
Exactly. A long time ago in this galaxy far, far away, there was a war, and these guys are refugees that came from here. You know, I've watched some other stuff, like even on George Lucas and how he actually named Master Yoda, that he was in some form of meditation, doing some kind of seance, and this guy appeared to him, Yodel. That's what he was called, and this is how Master Yoda came about.
Right.
Yeah, that's just a video I've seen, like, you know, so it could be horseshit, like, as well, but
the Annunaki, well, what I've heard about them is that they were going through something that we're similarly going through. So whatever our ozone layer and global warming and all that, so they were going through something like that, and they were losing their I suppose atmosphere.
Yeah, like their ozone layer, their protective shield.
Yeah. So then they wanted to mine gold.
Yeah.
And their planet lacked gold, so basically they ventured out to the universe, found planet Earth, and started to mine the gold with the plan of releasing it as particles up in their atmosphere to reflect the sun.
Yeah, what we're seeing right now in cloud seeding.
Yeah.
Microparticles, they're nanoparticles. They were using nanoparticles of gold. And interestingly enough about gold is a metal. You can take a very small amount of it and spread it very, very thinly. It'll cover massive surfaces.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
You mentioned it before as well. Yeah, it's supposed to be deadly malleable. It is the most malleable metal, I think.
I think so, yeah. But like, it would make sense. Radiation. What do NASA use now on their satellites? Send them up to space. They're gold. You see the
gold, is it? Yeah.
Gold. It looks like gold plated. It's like tinfoil for all the world, but it's a goldish colour, like, you know.
But I think they were experimented in the early 2000s, and I think there was a lot of chatter back then that they planned to use it as some form way to combat with global warming kind of a thing. But as you said now, and I've seen as well, Microsoft, what's his name?
Bill Gates.
He wants to, that's what he's pushing. He wants to release these particles, and he actually wants to fucking do it now.
He has admitted that he's doing it already.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Has he? Yeah.
So the particles being used in that, what I believe and what I've seen of it, are silver iodide and nanoparticles of aluminium and barium, which is another alkaline earth metal. And the reasons for that he's telling people that, well, what we need to do is reflect the sunlight away from the planet. Now, if he's telling you that, then it's bullshit. We've seen that. We've seen what his vaccines did, and you've obviously seen him in a TED talk saying how he could cure the world, their population, with vaccines.
Yeah,
population is too high, and we can cure it with vaccines.
With new medications and new vaccines, we can reduce the population growth by 10 to 15%.
But like, okay, this fella he's probably set out his targets for whatever. When he set up Microsoft, he obviously reached them targets, became a global phenomenon. Has he taken on this God complex kind of personality now, whereas he wants to imprint himself in history?
Well, if you go back further and look at where his money came from, his father was supporting the Nazis.
I've heard that one before, actually,
World War II, his father was supporting the Nazis against America. Was he doing it for America to keep the war going?
Yeah.
Who knows? War makes money. We've seen that from, like...
war, 100%.
Yeah, you've seen that, like, going back from the Rothschilds, like the Napoleonic Wars, where that kind of started, like, where they started backing both sides, you know?
100%.
One cousin backed Napoleon, whereas the others backed the British, and they said, you know, 2-horse race. we can't lose, so we'll back each other, like, you know, as a family. And that's what they did. They kept their unity as a family, and that's how they got so rich, you know. Backing both sides.
It's the same thing. Thoughts have to go out of my head now. But George W. Bush Senior. That's George W. Bush, right?
George Herbert.
George H. Bush, right? Was it his father, or must have been his father? So, was affiliated with the Nazi regime as well. I think he was.
Sure.
I think he was financially
funded them as well.
Funding them as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's all very plausible stuff, like.
But it's all like, as you said, with the Rothschilds and everything. Sure, everything's connected. Everything's connected. You have the likes of David Icke, like you're big Niall into David Icke.
I wouldn't be a fan of him, but right. I know I've followed him for a long time.
You've read a few of his books, haven't you?
Read a couple of his books back in the day.
Like, I was already aware of him kind of from you, really, and maybe the last year, I suppose. But he tries to connect everything and all this, like, shadow government control and everything. But sure, if you're into any bit of conspiracy, like, you're obviously going to be aware of that, dim theories.
He's been kind of ostracised an awful lot, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. Like, I was watching a documentary, I told you this now as well. I think it was out a couple of years ago. But he was trying to get into different countries to like make a seminar kind of a thing, and he was being rejected by a lot of these venues, and he obviously knew the reason why, you know. And then there's a clip of him on a double-decker bus going around London. There could have been only like 10 seated up there, and he was just like voicing off whatever, feeding them the information. That they just recorded a clip of it but like, he seems to be a guy, if he was in it for money and fame, he won't be fucking doing it on top of the double-decker bus, like, you know.
But the one thing that always piques my attention when it comes to somebody speaking out, when you see the media and when you see the bigger change sign trying to ostracise him and trying to silence him, and firstly they'll try and make a fool out of him, and they make up these terms like conspiracy theorists, which are, well, number one, if it's already happening, it's not a theory, and it's not a conspiracy either, like, because if they're telling you exactly what they're doing, like the Freemasons do, they have to give you their plan as what they do, like, it's part of their belief system, like that. If they show you what they're doing and you still go ahead with, like, if they hand you a drink and with poison labelled on it and you drink it, that's on you.
Yes.
That's kind of their way.
It's kind of a satanic principle. I think they call it revelation of the method.
That's exactly what it is.
And that's where the analogy of the vampire comes from. The story where the vampire can't come into your house unless you invite him into the house.
Yes.
So they're then absolved. Their karma is all good because they've said, like, I've already told you what I am. I've already told you this vaccine doesn't work. If you fucking take it, now it's on you.
Yes,
does that make sense?
But they put everything under a blanket term there. I just googled the definition of conspiracy theory. Like, it's an explanation for an event or situation that asserts the existence of conspiracy by powerful and sinister groups, often political in motivation, when other explanations are more probable. But like, what I find, so I'm 28, like, I suppose technology has been kind of the internet, maybe in my, I suppose it's like 12 or 13 kind of a thing.
When I kind of grew up without it. I'm that bit older. I've grown up without it.
But like, I can see, you can see it now on social media and everything, like the amount of information that's out there. Now a lot of it is bullshit,
yeah.
But like the amount of information that's spread prior to the internet age, like, sure, like, it was all through books and probably like people talking like this kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And information gets lost, facts get lost. But now we're in the information age. It's unbelievable what you can get your hands on, like.
Well, the medieval computer, the medieval hard drive, is in Italy. It's underneath the Vatican. They have 6 miles of scrolls and archives down there that nobody can get near.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a law.
Vatican archives.
Yeah, the Vatican have this law that prohibits the use of the chronovisor. If you've heard of that.
Man, I love that theory.
Unreal. It's actually a law. You can't use the chronovisor. Like, oh, well, what's a chronovisor?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So explain what it is. It's a device, basically, and I think Leonardo da Vinci had an awful lot to do with this kind of device, like, you know. So it's basically like, you were talking about the Dicenian glass or something like that, onto those kind of levels. But what it is some kind of a device that he had made that basically bends the curvature of light, and he's able to see around a certain point in towards the future or something like this. This is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, if something like this doesn't exist, why would there be a law against using it?
Can you find that somewhere, I wonder?
I'm
going to check that down.
It was on the internet, and I don't know if it's even still there. The problem with finding stuff now is the introduction of AI. AI is able to wipe stuff.
What do we call it again?
If they don't want you to see it, then you won't see it. Like,
A Dicenian, is it? No, sorry.
Dicenian glass.
Dicin.
Yeah, the blue dye.
Do you ever watch Rick and Morty?
Yes,
Should they talk about it in one of them episodes? They actually use it.
They're actually very informal about stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You think, oh, well,
no,
what?
definitely the creators said they were under the influence of something, because there's no way you can do that in your sober head.
There's another one as well, and it's the Inside Job. Did you ever watch that? They'll give you little bits of stuff.
I seen the first episode of it. Yeah. It's kind of like that.
I've seen a few episodes of that as well. You're like,
is it any good?
Well, like, it's grand, like, but if you know some of the stuff, you think, oh, right. How they're talking about this.
It's basically a show for conspiracy theories, like, but I didn't see too much of it. I only seen like a bit of the first episode.
Yeah, I haven't watched much of it either. Same.
Which is all kind of like the president or something is a robot.
Yeah. It's like some mad stuff. Like, it's basically the puppet masters that are controlling everything at the back of the. They're the shadow government, is what they call it.
Yes. Yeah. But did you see? Just there, when it came to my head there when I was on about the president, Joe Biden, like, did you see him there a couple of weeks ago? He was walking out. It was just after he was sick. He was after coronavirus, and he walked out. It was his first time in public. And did you see that video? And he's walking out,
taller.
and he looked fucking taller. Yeah. And like, they compared him, his proportion to whenever. Yeah. Who was that lady beside him?
His wife.
Was that his wife?
Yeah, his Jill, I think it was. Yeah, I think so.
And they compared the proportion, like, to a photo that was taken in the past, like, and he was like 4 or 5 inches off with his height.
And not just that he
was
moving like a different person. He didn't have that kind of
his
shuffle.
walk. Yeah. So then they're saying, is he fucking...
They got a body double.
Body double or something.
Do you think there's any weight in those mask stories?
It's fair strange.
I mean, just like...
The skin, the way it
every
sits
so
on his head.
You'll see something on... It might not just Joe Biden, but other politicians, where you see this line in the neck.
Yes.
And you're going, what the fuck? And I saw this video that some fella put up, and he said, look, this is just $1,000 mask. And he threw it on, and it's like, fuck, like, he's like, now it's not as good as the shit they're gonna have for $1,000. This mask looked fucking good, like.
Yeah.
You know, so what the fuck have they got?
There was some CIA, fucking, whatever you want to call him, former officer. He's on Joe Rogan a good bit. Mike something.
I know the guy. Yeah, I would trust that fucker as far as I
see. That's it. Like, but he was saying, like, Joe Rogan was asking him about. Showing like the Department of Disguise, whatever that the CIA have, what kind of stuff has he seen? He said, he just said, oh look, it'd be like wigs and stuff, and they have like I think synthetic skin or something as well that looks very lifelike that they use in masks, and he was told by the head of that department that the shit they can do now is just ridiculous, like, and he said that was back 20 years ago. 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So if they had to use it with the likes of Joe Biden, who's fucked probably, they would fucking use it. They of course they'd have that technology to do it.
They're trying absolutely everything in their power to keep Trump out of power there, but to me the whole thing is just a bit of a show for the public, like, you know. It's kind of like putting on like
Mike Baker, sorry, that's CIA, yeah. It's
kind of like those trials, you know, that they televise. They're like glued to them. It's like, oh shit, Love Island's over, we better watch that.
But so, that's what it is, it's like fucking...
It's just a show.
It's like a reality show fucking
that's what it is,
in the US.
like,
but the whole planet's like that, lad. It's fucked with everything going on, it's just one thing after another thing.
Insane,
But like, we'll stick with that, like, so we did this little short episode there, a couple of weeks ago there on the assassination attempt. But like, lads, I reckon anyway, 100%, and you'll be hearing different ones like Alex Jones, a civil war would have started, I reckon. And another people, he said it before as well. 100% I think, if that fucking bullet went straight through his head.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because they'd be all blaming the Biden administration, do you know?
Yeah.
And that's how you started.
Oh yeah,
like,
absolutely.
it just seems very fictional, kind of like how close it came to killing him, yet it didn't. Do you know?
Was it squibs?
What do you mean with that?
squibs, like, little blood squibs.
Oh, sorry,
Well, you know, it really could be anything. Like,
Fucking
you
anything,
know,
like, you know?
my theory, the whole before the assassination, was that this is all theatre, and that Trump and fucking Biden are just playing characters, and they needed to do so that they had Trump in for the 4 years, but they needed to get him out because they couldn't do the things like fund Ukraine and let the fucking border wall fall to shit up with the Trump puppet. So they needed to put in the Biden puppet to do all that shit. Yeah. And I always thought the agenda was then to bring Trump back in. But it would be a real shit show.
Do you think they know?
There's a certain company that don't want Trump in power. BlackRock. Yeah, BlackRock, yeah.
Like, come here, look at that was definitely that young fella.
Like,
in the ad.
In the ad.
Yeah, the BlackRock ad. Did you know that?
No.
The assassin was in an ad for BlackRock.
You're joking.
Did you didn't see that one?
No, I didn't see that. No.
Oh, if you saw that, 100% you'd.
But like, when I saw this young fella, I thought, oh my god, this young fella looks like he's kind of got special needs or something.
Yeah.
He looks like he's been really coached. There, snipers were watching him for 3 minutes.
I know, yeah.
And you're looking at him with a gun, the president's there.
Yeah.
What would you do? You'd normally they'd take him out. They wouldn't wait for him to shoot first. They're not on a battlefield.
Yeah.
You know, they don't wait for him to shoot
Thomas
first.
Crooks, and that's his name. But
yeah, they don't need to call and say, listen, we got a suspicious guy here with a rifle.
What do we do, lads? Nobody knows what to do at that level.
I'll show you the clip after, but basically BlackRock, so they're an investment company, aren't they? But that's what their front is, right? And they were on about, I don't know, maybe like investing in education or something like that, yeah. And they were inside the classroom, and one of the BlackRock representative was giving a speech
at his school.
At his school. How many years ago was that? 2 or 3 years ago, was it?
Yeah.
But like,
so I reckon he was like.
But they were doing an investigation into like his, I don't know how they did it and the ins and outs of it, but the nutshell of what they found anyway was that there was a phone that was being tracked, that was coming near his house, or that was going to his house or near his house, and it was going back to the FBI headquarters or back near it, and it was doing that multiple times over a period of time. I don't know where they got information.
Yeah.
No, but like someone was coming from the FBI headquarters to his house.
Yeah.
And he had a couple of bank accounts as well that were
mad.
That
overseas or something.
Overseas and shit like that.
What year was he?
20, I think, was it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So like, is he really even dead?
That's the thing.
See, that's it then as well.
So we don't know, like.
But sure, like, even though Trump would have, if you look around you, any fella that's common sense, and if you see that there isn't enough cover on fucking rooftops, would you not call the thing off or fucking delay it or something?
Yeah. When we saw a guy interviewed, he was saying that he'd been to a couple of Trump rallies and he couldn't get over, when he was at the last one that he was at, he couldn't get over how many fucking snipers were all around. And then when he arrived at this one and he was looking around going, it's a bit bare.
There's nothing there.
So we were just saying the last day that wouldn't Trump have walked out and having been to so many of these rallies, been the star of so many of these rallies, that he wouldn't have noticed there's a distinct lack of security here, like.
But is it just down to pure arrogance, or I don't know?
It was a bit like, I seen videos of it the next day, and there was people there on their camera phone. They were like, officer, come over here. Look, there's a guy on the roof. He's lying on the roof. Look, he keeps moving. He's getting up and he's moving around.
Yeah.
And I was looking at him going, oh right, yeah.
That was going on for like 20 minutes or longer, I'd say.
They
like, what the
they
fuck,
say that 30 minutes before Trump was on the stage, this guy was a suspicious character that they were monitoring.
That's right.
Potential threat or whatever.
But they dismissed
like,
it. They changed the status then to non-threatening after a while, wasn't it?
Yeah. So.
And there's videos of him walking around the building. No, it's, I don't know, as you said, T8 or I don't know. It's just everything's very coincidental, and it just seems a bit too fucking lucky the way he avoided it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, that's like something out of a movie plot.
Of course, yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was a setup at the start. Like, is this a setup for?
It just seems very fucking fishy. And okay, they're investigating it, like, but. And the whole thing about the fucking angles, then that's why they didn't have anyone up there, is because it was too steep of an angle. It was deemed as dangerous.
Slope.
Yet there was a video of someone power washing. I think he was an FBI agent as well or whatever. Power washing the top of it where your man was shot and the blood was pouring.
They said it was too steep for anyone to climb up, and a 90-something-year-old man got up on it the next day with his son, and they walked around it. Too steep, really too steep for the FBI to climb up here.
The other snipers are on another sloped roof.
Yeah. And did you see that body cam footage then that was released after that? And they were investigating it after, and
No, I hadn't seen
they were
it.
all standing on the roof. They were all standing on the roof.
Crazy.
But I don't know, like,
See, the American public will believe what they're told because of what they're eating. Basically, you are what you eat, and the additives that are going into their food over there, they're banned here. Like, you know.
Is it true that Putin, that he has that he's given free land? You know, this part I've seen this.
Oh yeah,
He's given free land to farmers to promote them to grow stuff that's not organic
food,
stuff, no GMO or nothing.
It's actually an act of terrorism now.
Yeah.
If somebody grows a GMO plant
Yes,
in Russia,
that's what I
it's
said.
made an act of terrorism. He's wrote it into law. You're a terrorist if you're growing GMOs here because of what they're doing to people's bodies. You take modern illnesses like celiac disease, for the word, that basically has come about through using GMOs, going in and genetically modifying the wheat plant at its base. And it's just, oh, well, we can make this tougher now, we can make it grow in a harsher environment, we can make it grow bigger and whatnot, without thinking about the whole thing. Then they make their breads out of it and whatnot. That gets into your body, you're eating it. Now that the structure of the plant has actually changed, it's become tougher and the proteins in it have changed, your body now cannot break that down because it's gone too tough. So now your body is under severe pressure trying to break that down and trying to absorb it, and what it's doing is causing inflammation in the gut, and that's manifesting itself as like celiac disease. Jesus. And that's where they've come about from, like, you know.
But like, even like, what you make of this thing we've talked, I don't think we've talked about this, but the fluoride levels in water and things.
Oh, fluoride is in water for a reason.
Do you think that's purpose?
Oh, fluoride is there for purpose. It's nothing got to do with your teeth.
But it's been scientifically proven that it's lowered its IQ levels. I think there was some study done over in America, and like that now they took a certain amount of pool of people, gave them fluoride water for a certain period of time, and they tested them first, and some kind of an IQ test or whatever, and then it actually ended up that the pool of people that were taking the fluoride in the water, their IQ points had dropped a couple, compared to the crowd that didn't.
Yeah, so the fluoride in the water, yeah. So the whole basic reason of what fluoride actually does, come back to the chakra system, come back to your third eye, it calcifies the pineal and pituitary glands to stop you activating them. And that's why I was telling you I drink the tea made of blue lotus, Egyptian blue lotus. You make tea out of that and it decalcifies. But there's lots of other ways, like they're putting it into, like when you think about it, if it's in water, it's in every soft drink.
Oh, 100%.
Because that's what it's all made out of.
Yeah.
So once you get it into the water system, you get it into everywhere else.
But how do you avoid that?
How do you avoid it, I suppose? Can't you, if you use filters, I suppose, I buy filters, I filter all my water, I won't drink anything.
Come here now, we'll talk about the filters. That Brita filters, so they're very mainstream, yeah?
Yeah.
If you read the back, myself and my girlfriend checked this out before, if you read the back of the box, or actually I think we googled it for the product information, and the term it says in it is it allows for I'd have to look this up, but it allows for an appropriate level of fluoride, calcium,
to
and that.
get in.
But who deems it fucking appropriate?
Yeah, the fucker's making it.
Do you know what I'm saying? But
It's like, here, come here, I'll give you another example. Yeah, one of the best forms of heart medication on the entire planet is the dandelion flower.
Go on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I actually have seeds at home. I grow my own dandelion plants.
Exactly,
to them up. Yeah. You take the head off them into water. So what they do is actually strengthen the valves of the heart, make your heart stronger. But more importantly than that, you can actually eat that leaf as well. The leaf is full of vitamins, absolutely packed with vitamins. Jesus. You dig up the whole plant and you get the root up. It's like a little parsnip. If you dry roast them in the oven, grind them down in a, the metal, what's it called them, Marcellin petal or whatever.
Yeah, pendant, is it? Or
petal and marcet or whatever they call those.
Petal and mortar.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the one.
Petal and marcet
or something like that. Yeah, you know.
Petal and something.
Just what it is.
Yeah.
But that's a natural coffee.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a natural coffee.
Yeah, because I used to.
But finish on it, sorry.
Pestle and mortar, yeah.
Pestle and mortar, yeah. So if you look at the front of the Roundup bottle, what's on it?
Dandelions.
It's a dandelion flower as a weed to get rid of it and kill it.
Motherfucker.
Fuck And who owns Roundup?
Monsanto.
Yeah, well, it's the same people that owned the pharmaceutical companies. Do you know what I mean? So
But like, lads, if
they don't want you using it. They want you to think it's a
if,
weed.
if illnesses were fucking cured like that, like
Yeah,
how many
the
fucking
planet,
billions?
Yeah, how many people would be still here? We'd be wiped out long ago.
But see, that's it.
I've always said that the smarter we grow as a species, the closer we come to our own demise. Getting too smart for our own good is, you know.
Did you ever watch this film?
Idiocracy.
Yeah.
Hilarious film,
Jesus
but that was.
I laughed at
We're
it,
nearly
but I
there now,
thought,
like.
oh my god, that's me.
Yeah.
I like relatively intelligent person, 40s, no kids. Just, I wouldn't see myself bringing children into this world. Not the shit I've seen of it, like it's just too scary what's going to come in the future. I've just seen stuff of what's going to happen. And we are going to be completely invaded in this country. People don't know that. I've seen this like 4 years ago. And if you go on, I think it's about 4 years ago, yeah, you go onto YouTube, you'll see these videos called Pet Goat. And animation.
Yeah, they've disappeared apparently.
Yeah, I still have one of them saved.
Yeah.
One of them saved.
What is this, lads?
So this guy won documentaries for this, like it's creepy as fuck, like, you know, it starts off as a cartoon, it's starting off and it shows you all sorts of bits and pieces in it. You're getting snippets of information and it basically shows George Bush sitting in a classroom reading to the kids, and then you'll see these, it goes to Antarctica and you'll see these two towers falling in Antarctica and he's wearing a dunce hat inside in the classroom, like he doesn't know what's going on.
Was this pre 9/11?
Oh, was it all after it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But then you see there's a cartoon figure comes and just appears out of the corner with two horns in him. It's Barack Obama. You know, and I've heard the theories on him as well. Did you ever hear the theories on Barack Obama like this? They think that he's the actual Lucifer or whatever.
Yeah.
Coming back onto
Yeah.
it. Like there's a girl who has done it all. Like it just goes back to studying ancient Hebrew, I suppose, and finding out the translations of that. But it was a caption from the Bible that she used, and it basically translated to coming from, like it was God talking about Lucifer, how he came about, and he was coming from the heavens like lightning to earth, and it translated back to some other, but in the caption it was Barack and Obama were in there like as words, and he said that's where the name came from. Yeah. And she has done this all detailed, like, you know, but
She's gone down that rabbit hole.
yeah, she just went down a rabbit hole of chasing it, like, you know.
Did you see the Barack Obama and Michelle, that they own this production company, film company, and they made that film out on Netflix? What's it called?
Oh, the one with Julia Roberts.
Was it Don't Look Up?
No.
It wasn't that one.
No, not that
I
one.
haven't seen this one now, but Ethan Hawke and Julia Roberts. I think.
Yeah.
And it's basically, is there a civil war going on or something?
Oh, that's
But
exactly
they
what it
don't
is.
know.
Civil War.
No, it wasn't civil
Leave the word behind.
Oh, leave the word behind, yeah, sorry, yeah.
So,
leave the word behind.
yeah, it doesn't really answer until kind of the end, but it still kind of leaves it up
Yeah.
for, like, you know,
The
discussion.
one thing that turned me off that film straight away, when I saw it, you see the son and the daughter standing beside each other. One's got Obey on their t-shirt, and what's the other one wearing? NASA.
NASA! Yeah.
Obey NASA. Yeah. So it's basically about the whole, this is telling you, like, what the plan is.
It's a cyber attack.
When it all comes to shit, and everyone's driving their electric cars, like they've been fooled into driving these electric cars, to be wiped out like that.
Like, do you remember the scene? Did you watch the film, yeah?
I seen bits of it, like, but I didn't actually sit down.
So there's one scene in the film where they're trying to, I don't know, they're trying to go towards the city or somewhere else, anyway, so they're outside in the country house, and they obviously don't know what's going on. They fucking lost cell phone data, they can't call their loved ones and all this shit. And then there's like a couple of warnings that are coming up in radio stations that they're getting into. They're saying stay in your homes and all this crack, we're under attack, blah blah blah. So then they go for this road anyway, and they see there's a rake of Teslas crashed together on the road, and then they're walking on the road, and they hear they look behind, there's another one coming.
Out of control.
No one in there. No one in the Tesla.
Right,
Bang,
yeah.
bang into the fucking the pile of Teslas that are there on the road.
Yeah.
And then another one comes and another one comes.
Mental
Oh,
stuff,
So
yeah.
then they were like, Joe, they were travelling from place to place kind of thing. And then there was this plane that was flying, and it dropped a load of leaflets, and on the leaflet it gave like some kind of I don't know, is it Islamic or something like that, like a symbol, and whatever the Islamic language, I think it was Islam, the language anyway, or the Muslim, whatever it was.
Oh, I'm going to have to watch that now. We're going to have to look up YouTube snippets of that, because symbology is...
But what they were saying was that whoever it was would say, if it was America, that they were dropping them leaflets, making a note that there was another country attacking.
Yeah.
And it was actually someone else. False flag, yeah, exactly. And then you can just see, like, towards the end of the film that the city's under attack from whatever. But it's never really answered, but I think it's like North Korea or someone like that that's attacking the country, but they're just trying to confuse. So the whole... So it was... I don't know if it mentioned the film, but I seen a theory about it after. That's the best way the best way and the most cost effective way, I think this was mentioned in the film, but the most cost effective way to dismantle a country is confusion, number one. There's different steps. So, something like a cyber attack, cut off their information, they can't converse with each other. Then confusion. And then confusion leads to people being paranoid. And then there's a couple of scenes in one scene in the film where they go to this best friend's house that's down the road, and he's out straight away with a shotgun. And he's like, stay away from my resources. I'm fucking here to look after me and my family. Mad. So once there's confusion, then you're turning the people against each other.
Do you see what they're doing in America? You see a lot of the elites building these bunkers. It's driving the public mad. They're thinking, what the fuck is going on? I need to now build a bunker. And
is that actually happening?
Companies like Lockheed Martin coming out with these bunkers, we'll fit this for you. They're making fucking savage money.
Is that actually happening though, yeah?
Oh yeah, people are mad into that, like, they're mad into building bunkers over there, like.
Joe Rogan has one, he was saying that he's prepared for something.
Little do they know, a bunker is going to do fuck all
that.
Radiation poisoning will still get down into that, like.
Fuck all. Did you watch that? There's a series there on Amazon Prime, Fallout it's called. Watch that, lads. It's very good. So it's about video game. Now, I don't play much fucking video games, but it's set into the future after a nuclear fallout and who survives, basically. So then there's these ones that are like kept in vaults underneath the ground, and they've been trying to like so they see themselves as like a savior of humanity. That's how humanity's going to live on. But yet on the surface there's been mutated people, and the harshest of the harshest that have survived. Cutthroat cunts, like. So then, like, one of the girls has to go, and I think like the vault gets broken into by like surface dwellers, they call them, and her father gets taken away and blah blah blah, and she goes up to the surface to try and hunt him down, and it's just like fucking hell, something like that could happen like in the future if it's because that's the.
And how do you restart society if something like that happens? You need to know how do you get electricity when all that goes to shit?
Yeah.
Like, the easiest way is to basically earth a rod down into the ground, right? You have a helium balloon and let it up into what's known as the ether. So there's an electrical charge all around us on the planet. When the sun shines on us here, like, you know, it's creating a charge in the earth and it's a charge in the atmosphere. So you can have electricity for free. We all could, like, you know. It's very, very possible.
I've heard of the ether.
The ether, yeah. And it's actually that is the ether there, the middle finger, though, each one of them represents an element. Your digits, your fingers, like the thumbs are the fire. Then you go to the second one, that's the air. The third is the ether. The fourth is the earth. And the fifth one is the waters. You know, water to give us a life. And that's your 5 elements, and that's how you make up your...
You remind me there of The Last Airbender. Did you ever hear that? Do you ever remember that?
Would you believe, I've actually seen a snippet of that. The most informative way I've ever heard anyone to explain the chakra systems and the flow of energy through the body. Yeah. And he takes this little kid, like, this is an old fella, he has this little young fella that is the avatar or whatever he is, and he's basically showing him in this pools of water that are all blocked up. And he goes, well, how do I need to activate it? He goes, watch those, like, he goes, you have to free those in order for the energy to flow. You know, he was showing him how to clean the pools, like, and that's basically what the chakras are. It lets your energy flow through your body. And when it's flowing properly, it creates what's known as this, or what you call it, the torus field around you. So a torus field is like it's like a donut shape all the world. It's going like that around you, like, say, comes out from the head and goes all around the body, back down, and starts again, and keeps circulating. So what this torus field actually does for you is actually it helps you to heal your body. It can keep sicknesses away from you, and basically it's a positive energy and it deflects negative energy. Stuff that people say to you, like you can block it out straight away. It doesn't mean anything to you. Like whereas negative energy can really affect people. They say that's the most powerful thing that people have is their voice. And I truly believe it now because I started using, as you say, chanting mantras. I actually got these from Billy Carlson as well.
Some interesting
through the teachings of Thoth. Have you ever heard of Thoth?
Yeah, he was an Egyptian god as well.
That's right.
Thoth was actually Thoth the Atlantean.
Yes.
And he came back. He never claimed to be Thoth the Annunaki, even though he is their bloodline. He was one of those. He was actually the son of Enki. Enki was one who spliced their DNA and created human beings. And Enlil, his half-brother, was said to be the evil bastard. Enlil was Enlil, Lord Satan of Eden. That's who he was. That's his title. Whereas Enki was Ea, Earth, E-A-R-T-H. That's heart.
Okay.
You know? So that's who he was. But they basically went to war with each other as well because they were fighting over the planet basically and the good and the evil basically, and they reckon that was one of the pyramid wars that they talked about, and they reckon there was another one in India. And I seen this video on it and it showed this big crater in the ground, right? And I was thinking, well, that could have been anything. It could have been a comet or it could have been anything. They said, when they went on to tell the story, he says, we tried everything, and how they told was through the vitrification process.
I was literally trying to Google what that term was.
Yeah, vitrification is basically how we make glass, the melting of sand.
Intense heat.
Yeah, intense heat, and how it melts like the silica carbide,
yes.
which would be sand at its lowest breakable down, and it melts that together. But different temperatures make different forms of it. Like
you can do it to stone as well. You can vitrify stone.
Oh, you can, yeah, you can vitrify stone as well.
Sorry, yeah.
And so basically, they told that, they thought, well, it's not this type or not that type. I don't know the exact names of them. There's 3 or 4 different types of them. And they said there's ways of causing it, right? It could have been lightning. And they were testing the temperatures of that and thinking, no, it's just too weak, like that's the different kind. Like, so basically they discovered that this had to have been a nuclear weapon that went off here. And when he gave the actual temperatures of the nuclear weapon that went off, he was saying like it was something like now vastly hotter than the surface of the sun. Like I'm talking thousands of times hotter. And he said that's how this was vitrified. And he said it couldn't have been done any other way because the temperatures were just too high to the way the solid stone had turned to this crystallized shape. Like, it's actually on YouTube. You can find it. It's in the Indian pyramid wars, and I think Billy Carlson is after narrating that one as well. Like,
what's the name of that small? Elon Musk posted up on his Instagram there a while back, and it was like of his desk. And he had this thing to the side. It was like an ancient Indian weapon, and they linked it. I was just to a podcast there recently, and they were linking it to a weapon that something like Zeus could have used, like a lightning rod. What's that called? Is it a vulture or something?
the Vasudra.
Is that it?
The Vasudra, I think it's called. Yeah, they're actually trying to recreate those, and that's exactly what they said in Thoth in the Thoth's tablet, the Emerald Tablet of Thoth. It tells of him coming down back to Earth after the flood, and he was greeted by these guys, the survivors, and they were kind of very angry and they were coming for him, like, and he pointed his, and it was an energy weapon, just fired a blast and froze him still. And this is all in the tablets, like, you know.
Where is that tablet?
Like an energy tablet. It's the Emerald Tablet of Thoth, and you can look it up anywhere. I don't know where it is now. It's probably in some museum somewhere now, I would imagine, like, but it's all over the internet. You can find it anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, so it basically tells that story, but yeah, it does, and that's going back to this as well. Like, we'll talk about Zeus because, and this ties into the Olympics and how it's so fucked up as well.
Okay.
So who is Zeus? Zeus is
Vajra.
Vajra, yeah, right, okay.
Vajra. V-A-J-R-A.
That's the weapon.
Vajra, that's the weapon.
But apparently it was, sorry for...
I said, what did I say, Vasudra or something? Yeah.
Yes, but apparently it is known by, it was one of the most powerful weapons in the universe. like energetic or whatever, and it was partly in like folklore and like stuff like that. I think it was India that it was used by these god figures during wars or whatever. Never defines exactly what it is.
And we go through these guys, like we'll say, just start with the Annunaki. You have the tree, right? Anu, the father, 2 sons, one good, Ea, one bad, Enlil. That translates back into India as well. I don't know all their names, but they had a father, one bad son, one good son. You know, very same thing, very same story.
Same thing in Christianity, sure.
Norse mythology, yeah, but Norse mythology even before it, you had Zeus, Odin, Loki. Odin the father as Odin, Thor, Loki, and then you go on to the Greeks. They had the very same, like, you know, Zeus, father, and he had the two brothers were, what were they?
He was Thor and Loki, wasn't it?
No, in Greek it was Zeus, and it was Hades and Poseidon.
Sorry, yes.
And it was always a tree. There was always a tree in there together. So these are the same beings that have been around the world.
And different cultures,
different cultures just knew him as a different name. You know.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So
that has to be a strange coincidence. Like,
it's not a coincidence. Like, you know, it's just what they've been known as. And some believe that they were actually in India before Sumeria. Now it was where I've found all that information from, you know, the Sumerian tablets. Like, that's where I'm getting my...
So wasn't the most recent person to decipher the Sumerian tablets was Zechariah Sitchin, right? But there was a fella before that in like the 1800s who Zechariah Sitchin was taking a lot of the work from. I can't remember the name now.
Yeah, but those tablets weren't found at that time, I don't think. I think these were only found like back in the 40s, like in a cave in like I think it's part of Iraq, like. And that's where this cave was, and that's where these tablets were actually found and translated from. I think it took him about 30 years to translate them completely. See, there's some parts of them are broken and everything, you know.
Yeah.
Some parts of them are like one bit of a story, and then you can find another one that goes into the epic, and then it goes into the epics of Gilgamesh. This Gilgamesh character, you know. And he was just one of those relations that was left on there again, you know.
Like, what do you think? Just so we know, we're 47 minutes in and I'm starting. But what do you make of like all these god figures come from the skies on clouds, chariots? Would you link any of that to UFOs? Or Annunaki possibly?
No, I don't think so. I think they left here a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I don't think they would. But there was a few of them stayed behind, obviously. And that's wrote in the tablets. Like, some of the sons stayed behind. They couldn't leave. But what was recounted by Billy Carlson actually was that they were actually getting old, and they noticed they were getting old, but their grandchildren were getting older than them because they were living on Earth, and they said Earth was making them old, so they needed to leave if they wanted to stay young. And they reckon they had a moon base, they had bases on Mars, and they reckon there was wars that were fought there over those places as well, like, you know.
They're just going back. Do you remember you were on about their the vitrification, is that what you call it? Vitrification.
Yeah.
There is, I seen just there recently, there is some site over in India where there was like skeleton remains found of, and it was like an instant death of these 2 adult size skeletons and a child size, so you can just imagine there may be parents and a child, and they were huddled together, and right there on that site there was stone that was found vitrified, and so how the fuck...
is that India as well, is it?
It's India as well, but I think there's more of a backstory there that links back into ancient texts and stuff, that there isn't a lot about it in terms of ancient texts, but possibility that it could have been like an old nuclear war or something that happened.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've seen as well, like there was nuclear war there before, and they've said that those weapons of destruction, the Annunaki talk about those weapons of destruction that they brought. So... yeah, that's what it was. Or weapons of terror or something. Is that what they were
just like Mars, don't they say? Well, the theory goes that they found like levels of radiation on Mars, and isn't there some type of like stone or something that's found there, and it can only, well, as far as we know, it can only be found from intense radiation.
You were telling me that last day.
Yeah, I'll have to find the name of the material now, but But like Mars could have been, as you said there, could have been something that maybe before was within the Goldilocks zone, not far enough, or just the right distance away from the sun to potentially harbour life. Could have harboured life before, but then over time went away from its position, and then didn't make it, and so then like the atmosphere maybe and different things like comet strikes and stuff like that made it kind of less habitable, or else potentially nuclear fallout on that planet. Then whoever was on that planet maybe fucking either wipe themselves out, or else if they had the technology, go to somewhere else.
Possibly, or the interference of what's known as Planet X.
That's what I was just going to ask you about Planet X. Yeah.
That's
Planet
Nibiru.
X is believed to be Nibiru, yeah.
The home planet of Annunaki, right?
Yeah.
That's what the lore.
And they reckon that's in our solar system, and it comes out and it travels off and loops around some other star somewhere. Okay. And they said, we don't really know about that. So why have you named it Planet X?
But I think there has been readings that they have found, like, however way they find it, large gravitational pulls. Fast, out far and interesting, they can't explain, or
they can't explain why the gravity is pulling stuff into this object.
And that's one explanation why it's one massive object, mass object, potentially a planet, that whatever its cycle is around the sun, that we can't see, like within, I don't know, only within like a couple of short period of time, 100 years or whatever, I don't know. But there is information out there about.
Or if you go back way far, like I don't know how much that you could believe or whatever, but there was actually, before Earth, there was a planet here known as Tiamat. Have you heard that?
Never heard that one, no.
Okay, so basically Tiamat was one big giant planet, and basically Nibiru came in range of it again and wiped it out and sent other planets crashing into each other, therefore broke up and made smaller planets. And that one of them was Earth, so they've been here thousands and thousands of years before us, like, you know. And then they came back like 450,000 years ago and saw that, oh look, there's the planets that were created, there's life on them, so we'll go down and have a look, like, and oh look, gold. We need to take that. Yeah, that's kind of the way the story goes with it, but like how can anybody actually write that? Because they weren't alive then, you know what I mean? They weren't alive to see that information. How do they know? Do we know it's just not made up shit from Zachariah Sitchin's mind, like, you know? You don't, like, you just have to go with it.
I've seen this funny clip there, it was on, well, I found it funny anyway, it was some clip of some like news station there, and it was on YouTube, American news station, and the tagline was something like, or the headline was, new evidence found for construction of pyramids, and the whole gist of it anyway was water. That's all basically they found. New scientific discovery from our archaeologists reckoned that it was water and like different vacuums that were used. But sure, that's always been a theory.
Yeah.
But they said that maybe it's been built from the inside out. But I don't know that. I listen. Do you listen a lot to? Do you ever listen to Graham Hancock?
I listened to him a small little bit. Yeah.
So his whole thing is that there was an advanced civilization, probably not advanced as us, advanced in a different way, and they had built all these massive like stone monuments or stone things that are still there today, like so the likes of the Mayans, that the Mayans didn't build them themselves. The Mayans that we believe from that time period, they inherited, such as the Egyptians, he says as well, that they only inherited the pyramids, and that the Great Sphinx like is thousands. It's like around. They can date it back. They think to like 12,000 years ago, which dates back to the Younger Dryas period.
Yeah. There's a theory on that, like on the head of the Sphinx, that it was changed, and
so it's too small for the body.
Have you ever heard of a thing called known as the Griffin?
That's some kind of like
it was
like a lion kind of a
Tartarian Empire. That's what everything I've seen of it has this.
Oh, you love this now, like
Griffin on it.
Tartarian
Empire, yeah. You've heard about them.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Nobody knows really where they are, but you know the one thing that astonishes me is they were said to be around the region of Russia and all that sort of area. Who built the Great Wall of China? Did the Chinese build it? And if they did, like a wall protecting your land, why is it looking in on your land and not out on the land.
Yes, yeah. I've actually came across
You know, so did they build it or did the Tartarians build it? You know,
Interesting.
and I just watched a couple of videos the other day. It's like there's no proof that Tartaria ever existed or there were ever beings of any such kind.
Remember I sent you on there that video of Tartaria as well, some fella discussing it, and he had about the mud floods. So that's basically the idea. So there was a massive mud flood thousands of years ago, and there's an advanced civilization, and a lot of their buildings got covered up with mud. Apparently, so there's massive like tectonic plate movement and shit like that. But then when I went to send on the link sheet, but it was on Instagram. But straight away a little banner underneath it, saying this post has been proven to be false information.
Fact checked.
So you click into it,
the fact checker.
Then they take different like sources of why this is incorrect. But like fucking hell, anytime you have to do that.
That fact checker thing now is a new thing, right?
Yeah.
That fact checker little thing is popping up because it wants to keep you on the narrative of what the mainstream media are shooting into your brain. It's like, here, come here, I've watched a video on it came from America. It was Homeland Security having a meeting inside. This was fucking being videoed and everything on the use of 5G. And what is 5G technology? What is it really? And it's said to be a weapon. Basically, to penetrate into your mind and can drive you fucking crazy in a matter of minutes and cause you to do absolutely anything.
It's been banned somewhere though. It's actually been banned.
Yeah, it's
somewhere.
supposed to be very dangerous, and they wanted to know why they weren't informed that this was a form of weapon, like, and who created it and were they using it on the Americans, whoever created it. Like, was it the Chinese using it on the Americans, or was it the other way around, or what? You know.
Yeah.
It was mad. It was a mad kind of interview, like, that they were having about it. Like, we're thinking,
Where did you see that?
It just came up in the video.
Okay.
Just came up in the video when I was scrolling there.
Jesus.
And it was actually up on Facebook Reel is where it was, like. It's mad to see it there, like.
Did you ever see this clip before? It was a story as well about this lady. No, again, like, everyone knows that you don't know what you see in the internet is true, but it's just something to think about anyway. But apparently that the Wi-Fi router in the corner of the room, she had her plant beside it, and she noticed the plant was dying, and she used to water it all the time. Then she just moved the plant to another corner of the room, and it flourished.
Yeah, I think I heard about that.
And they say as well, like, it's Robert Kennedy Jr. If he's talking on the phone, he never puts it up to his ear because of the radio waves. He always puts it on a loudspeaker and holds it down here.
Yeah.
And there was some like scientist as well that was on an American news station there recently enough. See, the problems with all these news channels as well, they only get guests on for like a couple of minutes. They don't have time to explain stuff. But this lad was on anyway, and the potential risks of charging or having a phone in your room. So, and you want the news anchor as to where's the best place to have the phone. By right, it should be, if you're living in a 2-story house, you should have it downstairs. You shouldn't even, you've heard of like charging your phone, it's supposed to be very bad if you have it too close to you. But this guy was saying your phone shouldn't be next near you inside the room, should be downstairs. Because they say all these radio frequencies. And that goes back to what you're saying about the mantras and all. Like, so then there'd be different like religions there, and lots of people like Nikola Tesla was saying frequencies. What's his quote?
Frequencies, yeah.
If you want to know how reality works, something, think.
If you want to understand the universe, think in frequencies and sounds.
Yes. Yeah. So then.
Oh, that's a fact. Like, I mean, you take that same plant that you took away from the Wi-Fi router, take it out there into another room and play classical music for it. That plant would thrive. Basically, because music as we know it now is played in 440 hertz, right? It used to be 432, which is the root chakra.
Right.
So but they took it out of that and moved it on. I've actually retuned the guitar.
Have you?
Yeah. It sounds, just the sound of it alone, you'd be in a great mood. But before that, going back to Mozart and all that, they used to record in something like 512 hertz. And that's the frequency that the plant, that's its resonancy frequency that it actually thrives to. And that's why it grows to classical music.
Actually, I heard a story there recently about this farmer, and he read something about what happens when the birds start singing. So before the sun comes up, the birds start singing, and whatever whatever the bird song does, it starts to activate shit in the plant life around the birds.
Yeah.
So then the plants get ready, then the sun shows up and it's ready to absorb whatever. And then he discovered what you were saying there about Mozart. Mozart was music, was something to do with Mozart's music and the same frequency as these birds or something. So this farmer starts piping Mozart into his fucking crops and everyone thinks he's going nuts, and then apparently he produces great results.
Yeah, amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Another way is like,
interesting.
as we're talking about the ether there, another way of growing quality food is electric cultivation. Like I have small little plants I grow them at home, like strawberries I could never take off here in Ireland. For some reason I just couldn't fucking get strawberries to grow.
Right.
And I started electric cultivation.
What's this?
Basically it's a coil, like a coil. You make a coil out of some wire. It's some old wire you have left over. If you have an old lead rattan, strip it all down,
Bit
make
of
a wire
copper.
out of it. Yeah, and take, it doesn't even have to be copper. Copper works best. You get like a biro or a pencil or something like something round, and keep wrapping it around it until you make this coil, right? And make it stiff, make it tight. So what you do then is you pull up one bit, make an aerial, and then make another lint on the other end and shove that down into the soil. And what that does is it picks up energy from the ether around it, puts it down into the soil, and basically works wonders on the organics in the soil, and it just fills the plant with life. Like, you know, it helps it thrive, it helps the roots. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
I've seen this thing on Instagram as well, and they're on about like this book apparently. No, I don't know. It probably just apparently this. I was trying to find a link for like that now, ways of getting like free energy and growing plants like that as well.
Yeah, there's so many different ways. You can
Nikola
get
Tesla,
free
that was
energy.
his whole thing.
Yeah.
Like his whole thing he wanted free energy, and he wanted just to release it into the air, in a nutshell, and then it can be just received by these.
Would you believe there's a story about Nikola Tesla, right? I think it was during World War II, was it? No, or was it World War One? I can't think of which one it was, but they would they'd run out the phone cables.
Yeah.
To everyone. So basically what they found was happening is the cables were getting blown up and the orders weren't getting through to the front line, right? They needed a way of a radio signal reaching the front line without any wires, and he had invented that. And as he was making it, he came up with something way more phenomenal than that. So there was already electricity around, it had been invented. And all the big boys in America had come together and piled their money together, and they had created the rollout of wired electricity all over America. Nikola Tesla, while trying to invent these radio waves, he invented something way more better than that, which was like this, with his Tesla tower, he could send free energy through the atmosphere, and it could be picked up. And he tried it, like he put light bulbs down the ground for miles with not connecting them, just a steel rod down into the ground, and they all lit up. It was like free electricity being transmitted. And when he told them that, they did not want to fucking know about that at all.
For
So
sure.
after spending all their money, it would have broke them straight away. And it's the same thing now. If anyone, like you see that hydrogen car, what was his name, the guy that had that Stenmeyer?
Stenmeyer, yeah.
Yeah, there was a reason that he was done away with, because the oil would have collapsed straight away.
But just going back there,
It
right?
would have collapsed the
So
American economy.
you were on about there, whatever Tesla. He made a Tesla. What was it? Tesla
The Tesla coil.
tower. Tesla
Tower, yeah.
Yeah, but then once they figured out that it worked, so Edison and his compatriots, they made it their business to get onto the printing press straight away, put it out in the newspapers. This fella's fucking mad.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. This stuff will harm you. So he wanted to put out that narrative out there, and whoever's involved, because
Thomas Edison was not an inventor. He was a thief that stole other people's work.
kind of a salesman kind of a thing, really.
That's
I suppose,
basically,
isn't it?
yeah. He knew how to sell, and he was basically a thief that basically sold other people's work. It's like as if you were a singer-songwriter, and there was some famous artist who saw your stuff that you had recorded on a little corner of the internet, and just decided to steal your song. Do you know, yeah.
But like
something like that, you know what I
and
mean?
then you had, so you were on about there under your wires. So like, what's around all them electrical wires that we see out in the streets now? Or out on the roads? What surrounds the wire? Rubber.
Oh, plastic and rubber, yeah.
Rubber. So it was the rubber companies as well. So
There was a lot of money involved in it.
what's that called? Vulcanization, isn't it? Yeah, when you're taking the rubber off of the rubber tree, yeah, whatever in the process. But like, if that wireless electricity, that would have lost money in the rubber production as well, for vulcanization, and the amount of money that they would have lost. And Tesla wants to put it out there for free. Obviously they didn't want it to be
But
like
you
that.
also have to think of the other side of it. How were they making their electricity? He was making electricity for free. How were they making theirs?
Yeah.
With oil.
Oil.
Oil
Yeah.
burning everything.
So then you've two industries there.
So you have this
Working in
guy.
cahoots, like.
You have this guy called Rockefeller,
Yeah.
who discovered how to make massive money off of oil.
Mm.
So how Rockefeller did it, right, was basically he saw that the oil companies were already there. There's about 5 or 6 of them there, and
Early 20th century already.
he saw one site in the Midwest region. He saw this was kind of drying up, so they were all pulling out of it. You know, they were all going elsewhere. But the main thing, it was a kind of the first area where they found the oil. You know, and then that was all drying up. But they had built railroads in and out of it, like, you know, to ship oil stuff. So he cleverly went in there. Everyone was pulling out. The town was falling to shit. That's it. They just built a town, and then the oil ran out. So they all fucked off and left it there. The town went to shit. He went in and kind of bought that, and bought the railroad. Now, when they went off east of it and west of it, they went off and found their oil and stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, okay. Then he owned the railway line, so they couldn't transport their oil around the country because he had the railroads bought. So this is how he made his money, right? So then what he did is he stayed pumping what oil was left there. He was happy out with what he was getting. He was getting a smaller yield, but they wasn't big enough for the big boys, you know, at the time as they thought. But he was a lot fucking smarter than them, because what he did was he was selling his oil as the lowest price you could possibly sell it at, because he was able to ship it now for free. He owned the railway line, you know, and he was charging them massive money to ship theirs, so they had to sell it at a higher price. And he eventually broke every one of them, and he bought them all out. As soon as they collapsed, he bought it straight away. He snapped it up. And what was interesting enough after that, like, he thought, like, his friends were around him. He had a few buddies, like, but he was friends with no one. He was a cruel bastard. He was an evil cunt.
Yeah.
His buddy thought he was safe. He wanted the steel industry.
Yes.
As soon as he got near that, he swallowed him up as well, because he owned the railway line, and he got into the steel industry himself. And once he saw that his friend needed it shipped around the place, oh well, you can ship it with me, no problem, but it'll cost you extra. Then he could sell his for way cheaper, cut all his prices, collapsed his friend, and then bought him all out.
Pure size.
This is what he did. Like, after that, he discovered, well, what else can I do with oil? Turned it into pharmaceuticals, basically. That's like Vaseline. Petroleum jelly.
Yes.
It's called petroleum jelly in America, like, you know, petroleum. It's made out of oil. Crazy. And he discovered he could do that as well. And that's kind of where the whole thing came against, you know, fucking, let's not have any of those plants like, you know, the dandelion flower, marijuana plant, that can heal the body or in any way, shape or form.
Anything
that's to be vilified and done away with.
Anything that's lower on a profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you hear Alex Jones talking about oil as well? I don't know if there's any truth in it, but he's saying like that they've discovered that there's way more oil there than they've been letting on.
Oh yeah, Elon Musk says that.
Like you said, they have their oil field, they drain it, all the oil's gone, and Alex Jones saying they discover 10 years later they come back.
It comes back
again.
But sure, think, what is oil? Oil is dead biological matter.
Exactly.
It's not though. It's not.
Isn't it?
Well, this is what Jones is saying.
Okay. No, well, it's not what people think it is. It's not dead dinosaurs.
It's not fossil.
But leaves and fucking shit like
leaves,
that. No?
you've everything. You've
animals, everything.
Worms, bugs, all those bugs that die over here, they all turn into
vegetation.
They all sink down. You know, seep down through it, like, you know.
But what does Alex Jones say?
I don't know, he was saying that maybe it wasn't Jones that was talking about this, but whoever it was, they were saying that they coined the phrase fossil fuels to make it sound like
it's limited.
That it would run out. Yeah, that's very true.
But just think of it. But like that's like diamonds. Sure. I think a lot of people. But I think a lot of people know this, but maybe they don't. But they control the amount of diamonds. Diamonds is a very
false scarcity.
Yeah, false scarcity to give it value.
Yeah. Where's the largest amount of diamonds in the world?
Is it somewhere in Africa? Is it? No, you're going to tell us.
I'd say it's in fucking London City in a vault. Because that's where they hoard them.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of that level. Yeah, that there's the vaults in London that they're hoarding vast quantities of them, all these big jeweler companies,
Yeah.
and they release them in trickles.
But
So,
that's
like,
how
if you flood the market with them, then they're worth
they
fucking
lose their
nothing,
fucking value. It's
anyone
like,
can
it's
have
like
one.
gold, sure.
It's like
It's like
everybody
anything.
wants.
So yeah, we were on about the. You were linked to diamonds to Nile, wasn't it? The rails. That's where.
Where did you say Niall? Actually, you were saying to me as well. The other place, like not the city of London,
Antwerp.
Antwerp actually. Yeah, I forgot about that place. Yeah, there would be probably massive faults there as well.
Yeah.
But did you see that painting there with King Charles and the fucking the red surrounding?
Oh
and,
yeah.
yeah. Do you think that's purposeful? Like, do you think there's is
It got a lot of alternative media attention anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Kind of a scaremongering tactic. Kind of.
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm putting myself on a pedestal, sort of a thing.
But but it's like, did you ever see them like videos of people like bending even a euro note to do it? Do you remember I sent you on this video before? Bending a note.
Yeah.
And if you put the two notes together, or sorry, I think it's a bend a 10, a 5, 10, 20 note or something like that. Put it to a mirror, that it shows like the head of a serpent.
Go away. Yeah.
I tried it out. It actually works.
Did you see they did it with the American money as well, and you can see the Twin Towers coming down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Crazy.
sure, come here. What the pyramid with the eye in the center? Like, what's the meaning behind that?
The pyramid.
The pyramid.
On the
isn't it?
$1 bill.
Yeah, the $1 bill.
The eye is basically
All-seeing eye.
The all-seeing eye. The all-seeing eye.
Was that Illuminati, like, or
Freemason?
Freemason? Yeah.
There's something you have to understand, that the Illuminati are part of the Masonic order,
Yes.
as are the Jesuits. But there's different tiers to the Masonic order. You start off at first degree, all the way up to 33 degrees.
33. So there's one here in Limerick. There's a Masonic centre, which I've already came.
Yeah. Oh, here.
I've already noticed it
There's
once.
buildings of it everywhere. But like, go back to Disney cartoons. Your original cartoons, Mickey Mouse. Do you remember that club, Mickey Mouse House?
Yeah.
They all wear these white gloves. They are the gloves of the Masons. You will see the 3 white lines going down along them. You think they're like a racing car drove? No, that's what they are.
I looked that up. So I actually saw that clip, and what Walt Disney said that the reason was the white was to make him more human looking, and the reason why they reduced the number of the fingers from 4 to 3 was to make it easier to animate. But then, why that type of glove? As you said, why the 3 lines on the glove?
Yeah.
Do you know?
She's
But
said to be
he was a
part of it.
Mason, or was
Yeah,
he?
said to be a Mason. Yeah.
Freemason?
And did you see this thing with Nickelodeon?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, Nickelodeon, the logo. We talked about this before.
Spread out the word Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon without the N.
Yeah.
It's
It's in Latin. I think it means.
Look that up there. What does it mean?
Fuck. I don't care about God or something like that.
Go away. Well, seeing as we're on the subject, so look at Disney the way it's wrote. Look at the D, look at the I, and look at the Y.
666.
The D is like the 6. You know, it's,
Yeah.
there's a 6. The I, the little dot over the I, is a 6.
Jeez, I never caught
And
that.
the Y is an upside down 6.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the logo
That's it.
for Nickelodeon then is the same shape as Epstein's Island.
Yeah.
It's almost identical to Epstein's
Oh my
Island.
God.
I literally looked it up here,
Sick,
lads, on
man.
Google. Nickelodeon meaning in Latin. Fact check. First one from Yahoo.com.
Yeah.
Armchair linguists claim Nickelodeon means I don't care about God. Hold on, I'll click into it. I don't care about God.
But yeah, the amount of Masonic symbology in cartoons.
Symbology. And you have to understand symbology to understand what they're doing. If you, like, it's in plain sight, but if you don't understand symbology, you're not going to know what that actually means.
Yeah.
And I've seen a one on the symbology on what the Sacred Heart actually means, the picture of Jesus and the Sacred Heart. It's a completely different
Is that
meaning
right?
to that.
What is that?
I've seen just a clips of it, but I'd have to go back and watch it
Okay.
again. But it was like some kind of link into some kind of satanic cult again.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Apparently, lads, there is no. Part of their fact check is when they look up the Nick and the kilo and all that it doesn't mean in words in Latin.
Is that right?
So I don't know, we'll have to look that up ourselves.
Yeah.
But
That's
You were
the
going back to
internet,
the
though.
painting that you were talking about there.
yeah,
There's
so
an
go on. You have
an interesting
seen
theory.
first,
Yeah, an interesting theory on this, and I've seen a video on it now. So back around, is it the 1800s, 1813 or something like that, the Battle of Waterloo. So where Napoleon was fighting against the British and their allies, whoever the allies were at the time, I can't think of who they were. But it was noted that, as we were talking about earlier on, the Rothschilds had made their money, they were backing both sides, right? Nathan Rothschild, the brain behind doing that. But also, they spotted that when England wanted more help to back, they needed to fight against Napoleon, they needed more help, so they needed more money. The crown was vulnerable, they needed wealth. So the Rothschilds stepped in, we'll back you. But as the story goes, that there was a deal done after the money got, and that was that the Rothschilds would have breeding rights over the Windsors as they got married down through the years, and they said it was only to end in 2019 or something like that.
Jesus.
Which is crazy, when you think about it. But they look, as you were saying, they look identical to each other almost in some pictures. So they said that like King Charles is a Rothschild. There's a theory there that is true. Like I don't know that for 100% certainty, but there's a theory there around it.
But isn't there apparently their theory that they interbreed with each other, like with family bloodlines anyway, isn't there?
Yeah.
Is it like there's, I don't know, first cousins or third cousins, something like that?
Yeah, that'd be satanic cult sort of stuff again.
Yeah, we were saying before we started recording earlier on, there's a photograph I came across recently of Evelyn de Rothschild poking Prince Charles in the chest, like he's his big brother. Charles looking kind of sheepishly towards him. We're running out of space here, I think, for recording, but we'll have to wrap it up in a minute or two.
Yeah, do you want to wrap it up with that?
Was there one other thing I was going to say? I can't remember now.
You were on about King Charles and being poked on.
No, I guess that'll have to do.
Yeah. Right, thanks a minute, lads. Cheers. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Tommy.
So,
Sound.